Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to our Health Made Simple. We took a bit of a hiatus since the last time we've done it, and so we are back again because we've had so many requests for it, and a lot has transpired since our last one. And so I am super excited to be sharing with you an amazing person. Not only is she one of my very dear friends, she is an incredible horsewoman and amazing human being, and I just absolutely adore her. So how did this come to be? I'll share just a tiny little bit. Brian and I have been into horses for 25 years. It's kind of hard to imagine that already, but 25 years. And we have been privileged to sit in the front row and witness and have access to some of the most amazing horse people on the planet. And so I have a bit of a keen eye for picking up on things, and just when people are great teachers. Usually you either find somebody who's a great performer or a great teacher. Very seldom do you find somebody that's both. And little did Brian or I know, when we showed up in Costa Rica to take a 1-week riding camp, I think it's been 4 years ago, that we would be sitting here today. And just, it was a life-changing moment. And we ended up going to Ollie's farm and spending 5 days with her and her amazing horses, and having the time of our lives riding her incredible Andalusians. And but we took away a lot more than that. And since then, we've gotten to know Ollie a lot better. She's one of these people that truly embodies the never-ending self-improvement. As a Pan Am competitor in dressage, an Andalusian breeder and trainer, and a Pirelli 4-star instructor, she has got she's a Franklin Ball certified instructor as well, soon to be Pilates certified instructor. Her list of credentials is too many to mention. And we've been spending a fair bit of time with her lately, and it's just been life-changing for us. And a lot of what she teaches through riding actually translates into non-horse people, and it just translates to having better balance. Like, as we accumulate miles on our human bodies, the traditional thing was that, our balance, kind of declined once we kind of, hit a certain age, and things started to deteriorate. And Ollie's one of these people that researches and researches and learns and learns. And she's actually, I've witnessed this through what she teaches, has been able to literally take older riders, and when I say older riders, I'm going to say, like, the oldest rider that I have witnessed her transform is 80, and improved her balance, her proprioception, her posture, her well-being, her mental well-being, in literally a matter of a couple lessons. And so she's got some not so secrets, and I really just wanted to have her share with you guys and some of those things. And so I'm super excited to welcome Miss Alejandra Gonzales today.
Thank you, Donna. My heart is like, oh, so excited. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, Ollie, where do we even start? Because where do we even start? let's talk about balance and proprioception, because you know me, I like just to jump in the deep end right away. So let's talk balance and proprioception. How important is balance?
Well, when we think about balance, we have to understand that there is not just one thing. It's a lot of systems that integrates balance in our brain. Like, let's say, like, our brain is our GPS, and we need the visual system, we need the inner ear system, and we need the proprioception also, like how well we connect our body parts, how well do we know, or how well do we feel them, or how well do we locate them in space, so we get balance. And what is balance? You know, like, we can have balance in a static position, and we can have balance also in the movement. And our body is made for movement. We love movement. Our body loves movement when it's not painful. But for our body and our health, we also have to think about our skeleton, our alignment. So it's not just one piece, it's a lot of pieces to really integrate movement. And as a dancer, you know how important movement is, and how good or beneficial is the alignment in order to move correctly.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's one of those things. Several years ago, I found myself in bed and couldn't get out of bed. And the universe presented me with the Egoscue method, which you're going to be a certified practitioner in that as well. And that was one of those things that literally I was in bed and I couldn't get out of bed because I was in so much pain, despite having all sorts of body work and being very diligent about taking care of myself, to within an hour, with the expert guidance of a trained person, they were able to get me out of pain in less than an hour. And since then, I've gone through and I've learned a lot about that, and it's all about proper alignment, and it's all about this skeletal structure. And if all of our body parts are in alignment, aging doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to, it just doesn't have to be what our predecessors have defined them to be.
Exactly. And the better we move, the better our body functions, you know, like everything, the hormones, digestion, respiratory, everything, all the systems. If we move, they function better. So we age actually less when we move more.
Correct. And I know a lot of the people here have a lot of life experiences, whether they're horse people or not. And so I know, but that being said, we've probably been sometimes a little bit too adventurous, and maybe have fallen down, or, you know, done some not so smart things in our life where we maybe have damaged our human body. And so the cool thing, when you introduced Brian and I to the Franklin method, I'm going to pop into the Franklin method. That tiny itty bitty bit was so incredibly powerful for the soft tissue aspect of that. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, sure. I love it, because I'm just so happy and excited about every day, every lesson, every practice, every person that experiments proprioception. it can be on the horse, it can be on the off the horse. Our body connects better. It's like we have, let's say, roads, and you know the roads in Costa Rica. Tell you a person, if I can tell a person the roads in Costa Rica are not so good, okay? They have, what's the name of the proper name for the holes?
The potholes.
Yeah, all over. And if it's one here, it's like, so you have to drive like this, and you have to be very careful. So imagine.
Okay, hold on. So Brian and I have traveled the world, and we literally drive everywhere we go. The roads in Costa Rica are really, they're kind of half roads. So for those of you, like, especially in San Jose, so they're not really quite 2 lane. They're kind of a lane and a half sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's never a straight road. It's always winding, going around a tree, up a hill, up a mountain.
Yeah.
Up a mountain. So yes.
For example, the distance to go from my house to the beach is very short, but because of the roads are in such a bad condition, it takes long time. It's the same what happens with our proprioception. If the connection from my seat bone to the brain is like the road in Costa Rica, we will never feel the seat bone. Okay, but if we use, actually we can use anything. We use balls on the saddle because it's easier. And we can use a towel, we can use a sponge, we can use things that it will not hurt. But when our body understands, and that road is like your roads in the US,
right.
Yeah,
yes.
everything, the navigation is easier.
Yes.
And so the movement becomes easier.
Yes.
So that's for me, it's such an amazing that our body is able to change. We're able to change if we can connect our proprioception,
right,
our brain to that little part. Everything change. We're able to change movement very fast.
Yes.
It's
yes.
immediately.
Yes. Create new neural pathways.
Exactly. That's
yes.
The beauty of our brain. That's the beauty of our body.
Yes.
If we understand that, we're able to improve movement, to improve range of motion, to improve our posture for everyday life, our mobility, and guess what? Our riding too. So let's practice that. Why not?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so, you talked about recently. Can you talk about sitting? Because, and it doesn't matter if you're sitting on a horse, because let's face it, most of us don't have the dream job that you have, where you're so blessed that you get to ride amazing horse. You get to ride horses, basically have fun all day. So a lot of us are sitting behind a desk, especially, since COVID hit, and we don't get up. Maybe we don't walk as much as we used to, or any case, what can we do? And you want to talk about just sitting, like I sit at a desk. Jump into that for me.
Okay, just a little tip. Just a regular towel. You roll it, right? It can be a little bit skinnier than that. And you place it under your seat bones. So I have my pelvis here, my best friend here. Some of you know how, no, it's a bad joke. So, so imagine that's the best, that we're sitting on the towel on our seat bones, and you see the anatomy of our seat bones. It's a little bit different than we think, or maybe sometimes we don't have an idea what is the angle of the seat bones or the shape of the seat bones.
Right.
sit on. And if when we sit in a bad posture, when we're slouched, we're sitting here actually, and that puts a lot of stress in our lower back, in our shoulders, and on our neck. When we're sitting like actually like this with a forward pelvic tilt, also we want to be seated here in our sit bones. So if you place a towel under your sit bones, the angle of the hip joint is going to open, and that is going to take a lot of stress out of your lower back, and immediately you will go to a better position, and you will be in actually in a healthier posture, because you have to think about also your core. Okay, so play a little bit like this, move one side to the other side with the sit bones. Just a couple of minutes. And also another tip is to put the roll actually like this, from pubic bone to tailbone. And then here we can massage a little bit more for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes, and then you can take the roll out and feel how proprioception also changes, and you will have a better, wider base on your sit bones. But for long period of time, if you're seated a long period of time, just sit above this, and this is going to open immediately your hip bone, your hip
joint. Yes. Yes, that was one of the biggest things for me, the hip joint, because I've been having issues with my right hip joint for a few years. And I mean, we're pretty good. We're really good with horse anatomy and dog anatomy.
Yes,
but not so much on the. But the thing that really hit me over the head was when you talked about the hip joint in the humans and where it actually is, because I know that if you ask a lot of people and you say, where's their hip joint, they're going to point to their butt, or they're going to point to the top of their hip.
Exactly. And not where the joint is, that is in front.
Yes. So can you bring that pelvis back and just show them where that femur actually sits and where that hip joint actually is?
Imagine that my fist is our femur head, and it's in front. It's actually, this is the pubic bone, and you see where the hip joints are. They're very much in front. We think this is our hip because, I don't know, some people, like maybe for measures or for clothing, people cannot start measuring the hip here, but our actually hip joint is here. And when we don't have alignment in our femur, this hip joint suffers a lot.
Yes.
And that's the most important part. We have to be careful with this, and also give it a little bit of love every day. A little bit of love. Move it in a different angles. Make it it's not flexible, supple, and what's the word, Donna? When it's lubricated.
Lubricated. So after you shared that with me, after you because you were teaching a lesson, you were teaching a writing lesson, and you were explaining that to the person, and I was watching, and I was like, oh my God. Because I've been illuminating my back, right? I've been illuminating my back. I've been illuminating my hip joint, which I thought was my glute medius muscle. And that's one of the muscles that's integrated into the hip joint, but it's not the hip joint directly.
Exactly.
And so once I saw that, I was like, oh my God. So I literally went home that night and I'm laying in bed, and this sounds really stupid, but it's me. So I sleep with my lights.
I sleep with your light.
And so I just went right in the, went right truly where the hip joint actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And what I could feel was I could actually feel my whole lower back, just all the energy rushing to my lower back, and it relaxed out. And so I do it, I was doing it every night for probably 2 to 3 weeks, and then I backed off to every other night.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed is that it's made a huge difference in like my hip, the mobility in my hip, the lubrication in my hip joint. I'm able to stand on my feet a lot longer.
Yes.
Because my back doesn't hurt. Like my back doesn't hurt, and my hip doesn't hurt. So to me, that was like a real big epiphany. So
it's very important to be aligned. The alignment in the pelvis, it's going to be our base for everything, not only for riding, for our posture. Our pelvis is the connection between our upper body and our lower body. So it's very, very important to have that, the whole system very balanced. And balance, we can say it in a very simple way: right and left, and front and back.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I know that there is a difference in pelvis shapes between men and women.
Yes.
So would the towel, I don't want to call it a trick, but that towel underneath the seat bones, would that help for men as well?
Yes, for sure. In the saddle, this position, probably some men, they have no problem. Like this position in the saddle is perfect. Like this could be a little bit uncomfortable for some men. I have some students that they didn't really have any issues or anything like that, but you have to try. On just in the chair, you have to try too. This can be a little bit different, but it cannot be painful.
Good point. So would you recommend, like, if somebody sits on the towel, like, so today I've been pretty much at my desk working on websites and doing desk work type things. So what I've been doing is I'll sit on the towel for about 5 minutes, and then after that I get up, I go get a cup of tea, I walk around, for maybe just even 2 or 3 minutes, and then I go back and just sit down, and I repeat that like every 45 minutes.
That's perfect. Maybe less than 45 minutes, maybe every 35 minutes. Our body is not designed to be seated for a long time. It's designed to move and to walk. Actually, our best efficiency is when we walk.
Okay. All right. So that's another reason that we need to be out walking.
Yes.
Moving is so important. Absolutely. So Ollie, let's talk a little bit about proprioception. What exactly is that?
Well, it's like we talked about the roads, like our body, especially our skin, muscles, and tissues have these receptors that we can activate. So those roads go directly to our brain.
Okay. And so are those the same things that are like neural pathways? Like, are we
Yes,
creating new neural pathways?
it's just it does actually, they exist, but we have them kind of sleeping. Mhm.
Okay.
Some of them will react if we tap, or if we squeeze,
Okay.
or if
Awesome.
it's also if the area is a little bit more warm, so we can rub. So there is a lot of different receptors in our skin muscles. So that's why we kind of we play with that, with tapping, with squeezing, with shaking. So the entire body part will get a better connection with our brain.
Super cool.
It is.
Super cool.
It is a lot of fun too.
Yes, yes,
It's a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Well, I know what you're talking about. So it's so from the writing part of the writing perspective is the writing to create that proprioception and improve the proprioception, which in turn changes your balance. And like, I know for me, and what I've watched a lot of your lessons, is that all of those things that we try to do in the saddle, like when you're a natural I say you're a natural at it, but you've been writing for so long that it comes naturally to you at this point in time. But those it takes away the sit up, where do I sit, like, as a dance person, and we were trail ride, so we dancers first, and then we got into horses and we started doing trail riding. And so then when I started taking lessons, and I'm like, well, where does this body part need to be? And they're like, well, you don't need to worry about that right now. I'm like, I need to know, because that I'm in charge of organizing my body. But it kind of takes all that away. It just tells you where to go naturally, so you don't even have to think about it.
Yes, because your body, your brain locates that, for example, the pelvis,
Yeah.
the saddle, and it goes in balance. This is so magical. Just because we're able to locate the sit bones, our own balance, it's there. It's naturally there.
Yeah.
And you have experienced, and it's crazy. Remember the first time I didn't tell Donna anything. I said, you have to come and you have to try this. And
Yes.
he's like, well, okay.
Brian and I had not been on a horse in a year and a half. And we go to visit her, and she goes, come on, you're having a lesson. You are the only person that I would be like, okay, I'll get on one of your horses, because I know that your horses are 1,000%. Like, I know that you would never put me on a horse that wasn't.
And a young horse also.
I know. But your horses are great, because they have you since they hit the ground, and they never have a bad experience. So they're they're incredible. They're magical. They're magical unicorns. But I remember that, and you didn't tell us a word, and you were just like, here, walk around. Okay, now just sit on this. And I wish we would have videotaped it, because I was just like, oh my God.
I wish I had a video with me, a camera with me, and take video of everybody's face when I give it, like a ball to sit on. And it's like, do you want me to sit on what?
Yes. Right. Sit on a ball in a saddle on a horse. Somehow this just doesn't sound like it's a good idea.
Exactly.
But in fact, it's a great idea.
Yes.
Because what we've noticed since then is not only are the riders a lot happier in their body and more more comfortable in their body. But the horses, the shift in the horses, that was the real kicker for me. That was the real kicker for me. I was blown away.
And it's amazing because the a muscle, when it's tense, it cannot move the whole range of motion. Like if you flex your bicep, okay, and you want to move, you see, if you want to,
you can't move it.
Cannot move it. But if your bicep is relaxed, you can move it. When we are on a horse, we can get tense for many reasons. Maybe I know exactly that I don't have like I'm a little bit insecure in the saddle, things like that. We get tense. And the horse knows that. And because we are not moving with the movement. So we're always against the horse's movement. In the moment that we locate and we are able to move with the movement of the horse is like, oh my God, what happened to my human? Yeah. Yeah. Let's make a party out of this. The horse is just like, yes.
And so, Ollie, you know what came to me, like when you were just talking about the pelvis, it's kind of like our second set of feet.
Totally. Our sit bones
are our second set of feet.
Very good. That's an amazing explanation. Thank you so much. I will use it. And we have to understand that this is just this is an example, but in the pelvis, there's so many joints that move, and the counterbalance of our movement is so important. When we walk, this half pelvis moves forward and this one moves back, and the opposite when we do the other step. So the pelvis is like that, but everything can move. Everything can move.
Right. And so what happens then when, say, like, I know for my right hip, like I had that limited range of motion in there, the compensation has to come from somewhere. The body is so stinking smart all the time.
Exactly.
That something else in my body was compensating, which is great. However, it just kind of like starts piling on.
And suffering. Your muscles suffers, your joints suffer, your cartilage. That's a difficult one. Suffers too. For example, today I was teaching a rider, a very good rider, that has a little bit, it's not much, but it's a little bit of a forward pelvic tilt and a rotation. So her pelvis was a little bit like this and rotated. That causes that in the posting trot, her movement is like this because there is a rotation in the hip.
Right.
It's not their hands.
Right.
In the moment that we balance the hip, her hands were not moving anymore.
Amazing. That's why I love this.
And the horse's contact was like, yay.
Right, because I think the horses just know it so instinctively, intuitively, and I think that is one of those things that we as humans go, well, we have to train the horse for this. The horse has to be trained for this.
Yes.
And the more that I see this, the less that I'm convinced that that it's the horse. And that we have to do the amount of training. I'm going to say basic training.
No, awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness in our alignment, awareness of how we move, because we have to understand that we are able to change our way of movement. And sometimes it's very difficult to understand that. until
Right.
you experiment it. You think it's going to change, it's going to, take you too long, or no, you can change the way you move.
Yes, at any age, at
Yeah.
any age. And you don't need a horse to do this.
No.
You do not need a horse to do this.
And actually, posture is a suit that we have to wear every second of our life. It's not just when we're on the horse.
Right.
Oh, we're sitting on the computer like this, and we expect that we look like a
supermodel.
Supermodel in the horse. It's not going to work like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that since the exercises that you gave me last week, and I have not been on my horse, since the exercises you gave me last week, because one part of my I don't want to say issue, but part of my posture things that I've been working on overcoming literally since childhood has been my shoulders rounded forward and my upper back. And I truly did not realize how stuck my upper back was. And so I've been doing just the little rolled towel on my seat bones. And this week, like since Monday, oh my gosh, I'm like, these are my arms. These are my arms.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just been incredible.
Great news.
And I'm a person that, I do posture exercises every single day. It's part of my routine. And so I'm pretty tuned in and aware of my body. And so for me, I was just like, it was pretty like eye-opening, and I'm actually excited to get on my horse.
Yes.
I'm excited to get on my horse.
Yes.
And so can you chat just a little bit about the eyes?
The what?
Eyes.
The eyes. Yes. Our eyes has to do, they have to do a lot with our balance. It's amazing. When you start studying balance, the connection or the ability or the skill is the best, I think, word that we use our eyes. Nowadays, we don't have to hunt. We don't have to do so many things that our ancestor had to do, right? So right. The way our head moves and how we our health, is that the correct word? Eye health.
Eye health. Yep.
Yes. It's very important. It has to do with our brain and our balance. Sometimes just moving the head and leave our eyes in far gaze will help our balance. Sometimes also we can another therapy for getting our eye movement smoother is having an object in a closer range. There is a lot of techniques to improve our health in our eyes, but the eyes and the inner ear are systems that have to do with balance.
Yes, last year I did a interview with Dr. Alexander Frank, and he was a chiropractic neurologist. And so he talked a lot. We did a lot of talking about the eyes, the brain, and we actually went through and did some of his testing so that we could just see where our brains were at. And it was incredible, like that they could track it. So like vision, I think the traditional thought is, oh, my vision is failing, I need to go get glasses. Yeah. And I'm just going to have, my eyesight's going to continue to decline. And it's such an exciting time in the medical field to be in, because I know that they've done a lot of research, and they're like, oh, you can do exercise, you can exercise your eyes, and actually get rid of these.
Yes, and of course I was, searching for all that because of the writing. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
because of my writing, because of how can I help, how can I improve this. But it's, like, if we think, we're very lazy with our eyes.
Yes.
We're just like, oh, okay, oh, we don't look enough, we don't move our eyes enough, our brain is just fixed in patterns also.
Well, and especially with the advent of this thing, right? Like we're all like, oh, and I actually think, I'm sure somebody will come out with a study sooner or later showing that this device, the use of it is really hindering our eyesight, not from the whatever technology coming out of it, but just for the fact that we're not moving our eye, like we're not moving our bodies and we're not moving our eyes.
Exactly. Nowadays we're not even reading. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you hear the book or you hear the podcast, and it's great for time, for some reasons it's great, but we're also deteriorating our own body, and also the position of our head when we're looking at the phone.
Yeah.
Is increasing the tension in all our, like our upper body, the neck,
Right.
shoulders, the scapulas are getting more tension
Right.
every day because
Right.
we spend a lot of time like this.
Well, and that's one of the things is you brought this up. So like our bodies are designed to be in alignment, and so our head, the average human head, weighs between 8 and 10 pounds. So every time we bring it, every little bit that we bring it forward, if we think of it, as a balance. So I'm bringing now, if I had an 8-pound weight and I'm bringing it out here, my body's got to compensate somehow. Exactly. And guess, and so where would that go? Like, where's the compensation going to go?
Yeah, it's shoulders, scapulas, everything.
Lower back.
Our posture will suffer a lot.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So it's not just, for the sake of getting your brain disengaged from that. It's also great for your posture and proper alignment and everything. So awesome.
Being, use the proprioception exercises to be more connected to this body, to have a proper head balance.
Yes. Do you have any recommendations? Because I love to have, like, if you have any tips. So you've given us one on the proprioception on our second set of feet. So
we can activate our muscles, our receptors all over the place. Just like this or like this. Just tap it all over.
Okay.
And for example, let's tap just the left side. Shoulder, inside the arm, under the arm, the hand. Just tap it.
We're tapping. We're not beating ourselves up. So nobody beat themselves up out there.
And now squeeze it. Give it love. Squeeze it.
Okay. Ooh,
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That feels very nice.
Shoulder. And now let's shake it. And compare the left side to the right side.
Oh yeah, it feels completely different.
Yes. Like in my, maybe, like I can feel my shoulder kind of dropped a little bit. It's longer, like also the sensation is
it feels more alive.
It is alive.
It feels more alive.
Yeah. So now try a little bit of motion in the shoulder. Yeah. And feel the other one.
Oh, the left one's a lot looser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was very, very easy and quick way of getting the connection in our brain. And
Awesome.
at the beginning, when I was studying this by myself, and I was tapping all over myself before writing, my employees were like, "Oh, she just lost it." I was tapping and tapping and before sitting on the horse, tapping my pelvis, tapping my glutes, my legs, everything. And they were just like, "Okay, she lost it. She really." And then I asked them to do it, and
Right.
it was it is a great sensation. Your body feels alive.
Alive. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I kind of jumped right in. I didn't even, I jumped right into the deep end. And so now that I'm back to the surface, I'm like, oh yeah. You competed in the Pan Am Games in dressage.
Yes, many years ago.
Many years ago.
Great
So
experience.
not only are you this amazingly, like when I say accomplished horsewoman, that's part of your resume. And so for me, one of the questions that I remember asking you was, what made you choose the Franklin method? I'm going to talk Franklin method just for a minute, because that's the only one small part of your program, but it's one of the biggest I don't want to say one of the biggest pieces of your program, but it's a pivotal piece of your program.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
agree with you. I love to learn. I just adore to learn. I try my best to be on top of, like I really want to experiment and to learn from the best. So um I have been studying horses biomechanics and riders biomechanics because my background is also fitness.
Right.
I was a fitness instructor for many years before all the horse career. So I'm very connected to my body and I love to move. So I really wanted to understand how horses moving and
Yep.
how my body will be more efficient moving when riding. And of course, it is to improve my own riding. You
Right.
know,
Right.
how can I be better and how can I be a better coach? How can I be a better teacher? And there is a lot of information that makes a combination. There is like the postural test of, in the biomechanics for riding biomechanics, I'm sorry. And the Franklin method just came as a, like, okay, I'm going to try this, but what is it? Blah, blah, blah. I was a little bit skeptical when someone said you have to sit on a ball. And I was
Right.
like, okay, what happened if I don't have the balls? What happened when I take the ball out? What happened, and then I start feeling and understanding the movement and the awareness of my body and my brain while riding. And I said, oh no, I have to go deep in this. And that's how I have been studying biomechanics, writing biomechanics, and these amazing methods of how um, to improve
Right.
the connection. And
Right.
it has to be with the Franklin method, of course, the Egoscue, also the postural, how to keep learning and improving every day.
Every day.
It's
Yes.
not only the writing, it's our body.
Yeah.
We have to take care of our body.
Right. It's the only one we have to live in.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds
Now
cliche,
or
but
never.
at the end of the day, we can't go trade in our bodies.
No.
Right.
No.
And that's the cool thing about it, is that, like, when you told me that story, that you were at a biomechanics symposium and somebody told you to go ride on these balls, and that you, as an accomplished rider, had such a huge shift and change in your proprioception and in your riding, I was like, oh my gosh, like that is super cool. Because, you know, as somebody that aspires to be a good rider, and you know, we always want to become a better rider for our horses. We want to be better for our horses. And we look at people like you, and you're such a beautiful rider and so in harmony with your horses. You know, it always seemed like it was something that was out of reach and that was not achievable, because I didn't start riding when I was 6 years old or 8 years old or 10 years old, you know? And so now, like, the changes that I've witnessed in your students in a very short period of time, and the feedback that I have gotten from your Ocala people here is like, well, you know, maybe I won't make it to the Pan Am Games, but you know, I know that I can be a much better rider for my horse.
And you will love it, and your horse will love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I haven't even gotten on my horse in several months, but my posture's changed. And so my back is a lot happier. And so, you know, that's the cool thing about it.
Yes.
So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. And the improvement, 1% of improvement, it's every day or the next time. It's an improvement. It's a success.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be like, no, like every day, a little bit, or every time a little bit.
Yeah, because if we do 1% every day in 99 days, we're going to have a 99% improvement.
Exactly.
And as humans, I think that we don't give ourselves enough leeway and enough credit for that.
Exactly.
So yay. Well, we have given several tips. So tip 1 was take a rolled up towel. Find your seat bones, locate your seat bones. If you are sitting down, you will find your seat bones, sit on it for 5 to 10 minutes, get up, walk around, move more. That is going to improve your posture and your balance. And it sounds too good to be true, but please go home and try it. And try it more than one time. This is not a quick fix. This is just 1% improvement every day.
And a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes.
Yes. If you have lower back issues or hip issues, illuminate where your real hip joints are, not where we think they are. They're in the front. And then the third one is tap, 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 tap.
Yes.
And just improve your proprioception. Yes?
Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. So this is Miss Alejandra Gonzales.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody.
And we will send out a link to this so you can replay this, and you can find her at aleparelipro.com. You can find her at writingmadesimple.com. And you can also find her at queenslandequestrian.com. And she's also on Instagram. She's mainly on Instagram. And if you happen to be coming to Ocala, Florida, or if you would like to go to Costa Rica and ride her unicorns, just reach out to me. I am happy to point you in the right directions. And thank you for joining me today. It was so much fun.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.